When Will first called us, he hadn't even opened his Houston-based Mobile Tire franchise at the time. He had invested a very large chunk of money into purchasing basically double territories for the franchise, walked away from a cushy six-figure job, brought his brother-in-law into the business with him, and was already starting to face some of that anxiety that most small business owners are extremely familiar with at some point in their life. The questions of, will this work? Did I make a mistake? What do I do to get the phone ring? When he and I first chatted, his concerns really revolved heavily around, hey, I just purchased a franchise that's not really well known. It's a really cool concept, but it's not well known. I've purchased basically a double territory, and the other franchisees who purchased single territories are having a hard enough time getting their businesses off the ground. Like, they're struggling. Corporate isn't really focused on marketing, so I don't know what to do. I'm starting to be a little concerned that this is going to be tougher than I thought it was going to be at first glance. And so when he and I were chatting, a couple of things we recognized right off the bat was that, one, his cost of goods sold were really, really high. On top of that, corporate was taking a fairly large chunk of the revenue as their franchising fees. And so we knew that right off the bat, if we wanted to do this, we had to make sure that we controlled the cost of our marketing. There was not a huge marketing budget. Although he was at the point of pouring money into the business to get it off the ground, we didn't have a, 5-figure marketing budget to be messing around with. And so the first thing that we started with is the first thing we always start with, and that is we researched the target market. Now, this was a little bit different than normal because typically we're taking the product or the service and we're researching who's the ideal buyer and then who's the influencer, the decision maker for that ideal buyer, right? So we're typically looking at it just from this. Now, if you look at mobile tires, right, you would make the assumption, okay, who is going to be the primary buyer of someone who's going to come to you to change your tires? Well, that's going to be a lot of moms, right? They don't like going to the tire stores. They like to go sit their butts at, they're running around. I say sit their butts, right? They're running around with their kids. They're at soccer games. They're over here. They're going crazy keeping up with people. Okay, they don't have time to go sit at the tire shop. So if you just looked at the product or service, you would say, okay, our ideal target market would be women. However, with this particular situation, we had to look at the ideal product or service, and we needed to look at the brand that we'd received from corporate. Now, this brand included colors, it included stylings and fonts, it included messaging and taglines. And so we needed to look at, okay, who is going to be attracted to our brand and who's going to buy the service. And so that's where we started. And what we realized was that the brand was designed to really draw in and attract the gentlemen, like the men drivers, the middle-aged man who was dealing with some level of like a sporty car, nice car, cares about his car, puts some time and some effort and some energy into his car. And so we started to look into, okay, so what are these other guys doing, right? In Houston, which is where this franchise was located, right? What are they doing with their spare time? Where do they work? How much money do they make? Are they married? Do they have kids? Do they own a home? What are their hobbies? Where do they hang out online? Where do they hang out offline? What are their psychographics? What matters most to them? And what happened was that as we started to really dig into and understand that target market, we began to recognize that these clients that would really pay extra for this were the ones who wanted to feel, they really thrived on feeling important. They thrive on feeling special. So what we did was corporate had actually recommended that there was a messaging of, save time, we come to you. But instead, what we focused our marketing messaging on was around you matter. Your time matters. You shouldn't be wasting it in a tire shop, right? And so it's just a very subtle change, right? Save time, we come to you versus you matter, your time matters, we come to you. You shouldn't be wasting it in the tire shop. And so what we did was we focused on communicating that. Every single ad that we built, we designed an ad to go in a Little League sports park for a friend of Will's. We designed handouts that Will was passing out at every networking event he was going to. We designed blog posts and articles that we were pushing out that were all around making our clients, or making the audience, feel like our clients were special. And this was really important. We didn't want to say you're special. We wanted to say our clients are special, because we wanted people to say, hey, I need to be their client. And so we really pushed this whole our clients are special. Now, what we really needed though was, how do we align with what these guys are currently thinking about? And this is how marketing works as a whole, is we really have to align with what is currently going on in our prospects' minds, because there's a lot happening for all of us every single day. We're dealing with hundreds of thoughts, emotions, feelings, whatever, right? Fires are popping up. We're putting this out. We're trying to figure out what's for dinner. We've got so much going on our plates every single day. And when you've got a marketing message over here that maybe even would work for you, but it's talking and it's way over here, it's very challenging for us as individuals, as buyers, to recognize that message. So what we did instead was we said, okay, let's go back to our target market research. What exactly is our audience paying attention to? Their golf swing. This is just one example. But we said, okay, changing tires is the last thing on their mind. They don't care about changing their tire. They do care about improving their golf swing, because they know they're going to hit the links again this weekend. So instead of running tire content into the ground, we began researching, although we did do a lot of tire content, we began researching content to answer questions that the target market was already thinking about, like, how do I improve my golf swing? And so we created an article that was 3 steps on how to improve your golf swing. Step number 3 being, make sure you are constantly analyzing and really evaluating your golf swing. And then at the end of it, we added a little note that said, and by the way, you should probably also be analyzing your tires as well. Here's 3 quick things to look for that might tell you it's time to have your tires replaced. Next time you're out on the golf course, call us. We'll come to you and make your life so much easier. What was really cool was that by getting creative with the content we were putting out on social media, by tying that together with Will's very outgoing, gregarious personality, he was spreading the flyers and everything we created everywhere, all over Houston, creating great connections, driving them into our social network. And then the social media content we had going out was so aligned with what they were already thinking about that they were getting anywhere from 5 to 10 calls a day from prospective buyers, just because we made it easy for them, because we were able to understand them.